You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo!
My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
Commercial!
End of transmission.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome as we launch into the second hour of BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday. I am your host, Angela Smarito, and we have Rick Hall bringing us something new, nuttinsbetterforyou.com. Welcome.
Hello.
And new to BaaD Radio, please welcome Angie Ruff with Flavor Craft Consulting. So this is I know this is she's like, okay. Yes. So Angie, have you been on like a podcast or radio show? You've done something like this in the past, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I actually host a podcast as well, but yes.
Okay. Well, then
and I've done stand-up comedy.
Have you
Wow, I
really?
didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I know.
Awesome.
That's Yabby.
Awesome.
That's amazing, really. Gosh. All right. So I don't have to worry about
We're
you
good.
being shy.
We're
Okay,
good. Yeah.
Well, you know what's so funny is that lots of times people come on and you're like, okay, and they have really outgoing personalities, and then they get up on here and they freeze, and they're like, I'm like, okay, just breathe. It's just you and I. We're having a conversation. It's all good. I know, Rick. We're not going to be able to see each other,
come on,
so
man.
like we're good. I just want to make sure that the camera can see you.
Yeah.
All right, so I said that you are bringing us something new, and I said nuttinsbetterforyou.com. All right, let's just start from the beginning. Let's talk about your story a little bit and why you decided to become an entrepreneur with a brand of glazed nuts.
So the story begins. My wife and I have been searching for clean products to eat, and having been a type 2 diabetic, and still am, I just don't have to take medicine because I watch what I eat. But being on the road and driving a lot,
With Ground Up, you're out and about,
I'm
and
out
you're
in the
like,
field,
yeah.
and there's no quick and easy grab and go for a diabetic that's clean.
Yeah, you just really don't think about it. You see the
No.
stuff, you're like, okay, I'm going to grab that, and that, and I'm going to snack on it, and I'll be good. That'll hold me over till dinner, good to go.
Well, that's what you can do if
Right.
you're not a diabetic, but a diabetic, you really gotta watch what goes in.
Mm-hmm.
And so being on this journey, and I have a good friend of mine, Dave Vance.
Mm-hmm. He's been on the show before.
Yeah.
And Crystal, amazing people.
Yes, and they're very much into the health conscious diets and the way of living and things like that. And I was at a house party of his, and all they had was clean snacks to eat, clean finger foods, and that really kind of triggered an idea.
That's inspired. That's the word.
I'm very much inspired, but my mind always runs a million miles an hour, and I'm always looking for new and creative things to do and stuff like that.
But I love the fact that you have the courage to do it. That's the part that's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just you always come up with ideas and things like that, but it's for some people it's hard to implement them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then you have the naysayers, like, "Oh, please, seriously."
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the hardest part, is that there's more naysayers. Do you know how much it would cost to do that? It'll take you 10 years to make a profit. Who knows how to, the cost of it. And everybody's going to be an expert on why it's not a good idea. And you know what? I was about to say a bad word, but I'm not going to, because we are on the radio. You know what? Forget them, because you push through it. And so that's what brings us to Angie. So how did you meet Angie?
So when Dave and I were having a conversation and stuff, Dave was like, "Hey, I know this woman who owns a company that can manufacture, and help you take this to market. And I'm like, okay. And then the funny thing is, I started mentioning this with some of my other friends.
With Pam, right?
Well, with Pam, a friend of mine, Tony Boney.
His name's Tony Boney.
Yes. Great guy. But multiple people that I talk to and stuff, just to kind of feel it out and stuff like that, they're all like, hey, we have the perfect person you need to talk to. And she's right here locally. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Oh, wow.
And then they all had mentioned Angie. And
so
then
you got multiple.
I had multiple.
Okay.
I had multiple. And then it was Dave that actually pulled the strings to set up a meeting with us.
Uh-huh.
And stuff, and the rest is history.
Well, I think that's amazing for several different reasons. I can imagine you have this idea. Because you created Nuttins. You created the ability to create a snack type nut, like a glazed nut, that is diabetic friendly.
It is, yes. So it's for diabetics, as well as we will have a glazed nut that is safe for heart patients as well.
Okay, I love that. And that idea came from your brain, and you created that recipe yourself, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I took something. I took some inspirations from others, and changed some things up, and came up with this in my kitchen, and I started passing that out. And the people I would pass it out to was like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible!"
Yeah, I was one
and
of
this
them.
is yes, you were, yes, you were, and this was incredible. And
But ultimately, you created the snack for yourself, right? You're like, okay, there's people like me that need a snack, and so I'm going to create this with myself in mind.
Yes, because there's no alternatives.
Right.
And I have friends of mine that, drive hours a day, and they'll run into a convenience store or fast food just to grab a snack and go, and nothing's clean.
Right.
I mean, there's
And
nothing
it ends
available.
up causing them health issues.
Yes, it
ultimately,
does.
Right?
I mean, they put on weight, their blood sugar goes up, and,
So this is like a pitching process. So now you've got the introduction, like you've gotten the stamp of approval from Dave and the different people you've talked to
Correct.
about it. I know you brought Tom and I a sample. I was like, this is really amazing. So, but I remember thinking to myself, I have no idea how you would take this to market. I'm just thinking about like the marketing part of it. I'm like, I got you covered. We got you. But so you had this meeting with Angie, and then you pitched her. Right? You pitched her the idea,
yes.
right?
I think we actually brought you in some samples.
You did?
Okay.
And
Well, tell me the first meeting. I want to hear about the first meeting.
well, there was quite a few of us in your office, wasn't there?
Yes, definitely a lot of people were in my office that day.
Right. Where's your office at?
And now it's in DeBerry, but we were
Okay.
in Sanford at the
Here,
time.
do me a favor.
Yes.
Pull your microphone a little bit
Maybe
closer. to you. Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. There
We
we
want to
go.
be able to hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got all these people in your office, and Rick's bringing in a bunch of nuts, and then you know what? You're like, okay, so what are we doing here? Right?
Exactly. So typically when Rick or anyone has an idea, what we do is we do an exploratory just introduction. What do you have? Does it have teeth? Is it something that's going to solve a problem that people are willing to pay money for?
Right.
And we had a conversation. Part of that process is the entrepreneur passionate enough to be able to see this to the end?
Understood.
Because a lot of people have a lot of great ideas, but it's a process.
Well, I mean, it's not just it's the enthusiasm, but it's also there's finances involved,
Right.
and so that's where that's mostly what's going to stop people in their tracks.
Correct.
Is like, I can't afford this, or they don't understand the process enough, and they're too scared to try. So this is where you come in and you're like, okay, let's talk about it.
Absolutely. And although that people make something in their home, in their kitchen, can it be scalable? And that was the conversation we had. Very first
Yes.
thing was, is this something that can be recreated at scale? There are other recipes out there. Again, there's been salsas where people have created them, but you can't reproduce
You know
it.
what that music means?
We got it.
We got to go to break.
Yay.
All right. So we're going to pick this up in just a few minutes. All right. So everybody stay tuned for more BaaD Radio. Welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar with daily specials, an amazing kids menu, and, well, NFL football, over 50 large TV screens. And we're putting together a big promotion for Super Bowl. Oh, I can't say it. The big game. All right. And then, plus, you don't want to miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. And with 4 great locations, there is bound to be one near you. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's. Hopping with food and fun.
Yeah, boy.
That's right. All right. We're here with Rick Hall, and we are talking about nuttinsbetterforyou.com along with Angie Ruff with Flavor Craft Consulting. So we left off when Rick brought you the concept and you were talking about it becoming scalable. So let the audience know what that means to become scalable.
Right, absolutely. It's different for every product. For a food product, can the ingredients be purchased in a large enough bulk quantity to be able to reproduce in an industrial or a commercial facility, basically?
Right.
Is it going to be done in a large scale manufacturing plant? Is it going to be done in a small commercial kitchen? Whatever those things are, because sometimes there's ingredients that are just difficult to get, or perhaps the process is in a way that it's not something that can be recreated with machines.
Right.
Think of if you've ever made a cake and if you had to flip the cake or you had to do something else.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So,
think about that on a large scale, and that's hard to do.
Right. So with myself and my team's expertise, we've been in manufacturing. I've been in manufacturing for 25 years now. We take those recipes and we run it through our system. We look to see, is this something that we can buy this particular ingredient, in truckloads or in...
So he gives you the ingredients.
Correct.
And then then you go do the research and you find out.
Yes.
And then once you've got that, you're like, okay, so far it's looking good. Now let's talk about facilities.
Correct.
Is that how that goes?
Yes. And then we work on their behalf, on Rick's behalf, to find the right manufacturing facility that's going to meet his needs. Some manufacturing facilities, they're not going to talk to you unless you're doing truckloads. But if you're a small brand just getting started, there are small manufacturers out there that are willing to spend time and work with smaller brands to get them starting, knowing that they may graduate onto a larger manufacturer later, or create a regional network of distribution and manufacturers to be able to launch their product nationwide.
Right. What does that mean exactly?
So I know, big words, right? So basically, if you think about you're making, we'll just talk about these nuts, right?
Yeah.
We'll just go there.
Yeah.
I was waiting on someone to giggle on
I know.
that one. I've been waiting for this.
Trust me, I can't giggle without talking about Rick's nuts.
It's amazing.
All right.
There we go. All day, every day. So we go into, there's different regional manufacturers. The particular manufacturer that we've talked to for Rick that we've moved forward with is in Mobile, Alabama. But there are, just in Florida alone, there are over 30 food manufacturers that are co-manufacturers that make products for other brands. They don't make their own. They make it for everybody else.
Okay.
And so, but some of them may only make wet sauces. Some of them may only make dry seasonings. Some of them will make
How
nuts.
do you know all this stuff? This is insane.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I know. The wealth of information that is in that head of yours is like, it's a lot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, again, a lot of it is alliances. I'm part of Florida Makes, Institute of Food Technologists. And so that gives me the opportunity to have relationships and partnerships with all of these other manufacturers to help brands like Rick's get to the point where, okay, I can make this. We can get this to the next level. And so because I've done this, I've led R&D teams, I've led plants, I've owned my own manufacturing plant, I can help him, guide him through these next steps. So it's, okay, great. Now we know we can get it made. What are we putting it in?
Yeah.
So it was that, it's all these next steps. It was, now let's talk about that. Well, what are we going to call it? And I mean, the name process went through quite a few renditions. I think you were involved with part of that as well.
Yes,
Big time.
And then of course, from there, finally land on a name. Well, now what's the package going to look like? So there's, again, it's all of these steps, but we've created a framework where we take them truly from concept to creation and then eventually to on the shelf to get them to from that, cocktail napkin dream to seeing some retail sales on the shelf.
I think it's so cool. BaaD Marketing's been blessed enough to be on board, like I remember Rick bringing us the initial like ones that he made, and he asked us to try it, and we were like, okay, this is amazing. And I'm not gonna lie, when he first said that to me, because he goes, I want to meet you guys to go over something, and when he brought it up, I'm like, what that came from left field, because I had never, we've talked about irrigation systems and stuff.
Service.
So.
All I know is service.
Right.
Yes.
But when we had the opportunity to talk about Nuttins, and then when we said that Nuttin's better for you, and how that all kind of happened organically, and then on top of that, I went and saw that the URL was available. I'm like, this is it. This all makes sense. So I love the fact that we get to be involved with like the part that's kind of really fun. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. No offense, but I'm
No,
like,
my part's boring. It's okay.
It's not
No, it's
boring.
not.
It's just hard. It's like, okay, that's 62 cents. That's 65 cents. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're doing all this negotiating on pricing and things like that. So, like, we're over here creating characters and things of that nature. So,
but coming from my aspect, I don't have that skill. I don't have that connection. So I mean, back when I was originally thinking about this, it was like, am I going to buy a food truck? All right.
Okay.
And be able to do it out of a food truck. And then, but then that wouldn't work either.
Right.
All right. Because,
so you're talking about actually like selling the product
yes,
from a food truck.
Yeah, farmers markets and, kind of doing some things like that. But then, then that's not my ultimate goal. I mean, my ultimate
Oh, no, you went
goal
big. You're like, go big or
is
go home.
That's right.
Yes.
If you're going to do it right.
Right.
And we are, yes.
Yes.
Well, tremendous blessing meeting Angie. And like I said, just the conversations I've had with you about, I was like, okay, well, the walnut kind of looks like a brain. And you're like, well, it is actually. And like we rattled off all this information about a walnut that I was like, okay, well, now it makes sense that it looks like a brain.
And just to kind of close that loop, it's because it promotes brain health.
Yeah.
Walnuts are
that's
healthy.
what I'm talking
yes,
about.
right. Yes, right. Yes.
And so with this whole process, I want to continue talking about Nuttins, but what are some of the other items that's like maybe similar to this that you've seen through fruition from like the concept to the product?
Absolutely. There's been just a plethora. It's not just been food. We've worked with an RV accessory that is literally like step covers. But I mean, amazing situation for this gentleman. Again, concept he had it sketched out. He had someone do a 3D model for him. And we took it from that little tiny 3D model. We went through all of the process of finding the right type of plastic. He actually took it to a popular TV show who will not be named that takes equity for positioning their investment in your company. I'm sure you can kind of figure out.
Oh,
what
I
I'm
know
talking
who
about.
it is.
Okay, great. So he went to them first, paid them a significant amount of money, one of the consultants out of that group. And basically they told him, well, it's going to cost you like $100,000 to get this made. And they told him to make it in a way that was molded, like injection molded plastic. I met with him. He was bashing those guys like they're horrible. And I took one look at his product and I said, this should be an extruded plastic product. And he looked at me, he's like, what does that mean?
I know.
I will help you through this. I said, if you've ever seen like Play-Doh and you squish it through the little mold, that's extrusion. I said, we need to make your product like that. And he's like, oh, that makes sense now. He's like, I agree with you. We found him a manufacturer. We worked through to try to find the right plastics, all the right polymers, make sure it was good for heat and cold and all the stuff. And we saved him $90,000 on production costs.
That's amazing.
So it was concept. Now he's ready for production. He went to a trade show and he 20x'd his pre-sales.
Oh my
God. I mean, amazing stuff. It's great. It can be done. You just have to have the guts to get it there and work with the right people to get you to those next steps.
That's, like I said, I love stories like that. And so how did you get into this field in the first place?
So I'm an industrial engineer. So let's just start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm an industrial engineer. I understand how things are made. It's
All right.
kind of a thing for me. I've been in manufacturing my whole life. Started in textiles, so that's clothing manufacturing, moved on to plastics. So I'm actually very familiar with plastic extrusion and molding. And then from there into food manufacturing. That's where I spent the majority of my career. Spent a long time there, was a general manager, a plant manager, vice president of operations, and all sorts of fun things that got me where I am today.
All right. Well, we're going to keep talking, but this time I'm going to cut it off before the break. All right, you guys, stay tuned for more BaaD Radio coming up. Welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. And actually, Rick, Mike Heyman was in last week.
Yes.
And we talked about next level networking. So I got introduced into the world of networking, not through BNI, but this was years ago. This was pre-COVID, from a gentleman named Brian Hastings, and he owns Four Seasons. And what's so funny is from that networking group, it did not make it through COVID, but that's where I met Rick. That's where I met Mike Hammond. That's where I met Brian Hastings. And we're all still so, you know what I mean? I'm like, the people that I've met in there have become
Friends.
so close
Yes.
to my family. I mean, he comes to my birthday parties and whatnot. So, you know.
That's great. Love that.
But just real quick, I should probably introduce you guys again. So we are here with Rick Hall, and we are introducing Nuttin's BetterForYou.com, as well as Angie Ruff with Flavor Craft Consulting. And I kind of went on a little tangent about the Flavor Craft Consulting because you were talking about different types of production, and then we kind of like sorted into the food portion of it. And when you say flavor and part of your title of your business, it tends to make me believe or feel that you kind of are focusing on food and beverage and things of that nature. Is that true?
60% of our clients are food and beverage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but again, we kind of spin it with what's the flavor of your craft.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So where we're at right now with the Nuttin's process is that we've made a lot of progress. And I mean, we've got the packaging, we've got the design, we've got all of that. And so what will happen next with this project?
So next we are going to be finalizing his pricing and position. We've already done a lot of analysis. We use data from Nielsen and Spins to come through and help him know what the landscape is like and where he should be launching. So next is actually make the product with the manufacturer we've already identified and truly launch.
Okay, that's
which is so fun.
Exciting. When the launch comes, do you pre-sell it, or do you does it have to be stocked in a warehouse and then orders come in? Like, how does this work?
So every brand does it a little differently.
Okay.
Some do a pre-sale where they take a certain level of orders leading up to the launch, and then they ship everything on launch day.
Okay.
Others do where they go ahead and produce and have product in a warehouse ready to ship, and it's out the door. Every brand has successfully done it each way, and it really just is up to the brand owner how they want to proceed.
Right. So, Rick, how are you feeling? I mean, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm just very grateful for the people around me that know more about this than I do, because it can be very overwhelming.
No, honestly, that's like one of the best things about being in the world of networking is because I know what I know. And in the world of marketing, stuff like that, I'm good. I mean, it makes sense. But in everything else, I'm like, thank God I know people. But I meant, so are you looking to once it goes into production? Are you looking to? You're going to have to go and find people to buy the product, right?
Yes. So with our product, we're going to be going toward the gym facilities. Definitely want to be in healthcare, hospitals, nursing homes, places like that. And then we want to work our way into, like the mom and pop type health stores, health and wellness, and then hopefully we can get to like Publix and
okay, so you do
different places like this.
You want to go that far?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's whatever the pathway opens.
Well,
what doors?
As your marketing team, I know that we're going to make sure that this has a very unique position. We're going to make sure that people are seeing it before it even gets launched. so that and they're and I see nut brands all the time, and I'm like, okay, what's special about that? It's green, it's got nuts on it, but why am I? You know what I mean? Why am I?
It's the story.
Yeah.
It's always it's the story that's going to sell this.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's something that impacted him and he can tell his own health story around it. And just even the journey of getting it from that concept to now here it is.
Yeah. So this is all very interesting. And not to mention is that in Orlando, we are finding more and more and more people that want to support local institutions, local businesses. And that's exactly what we have here. So we have a story that is very compelling. We have people that are on health journeys. So many people come on this show that we talk about health and wellness. And so that's what we're going to do is that when you walk into that hospital and you called to make that appointment and you're like, I'm with Nuttin's Better For You. They're like, okay, I've seen that. Come on in. Let's have a conversation.
Yes.
And so that's like, now that's going to be my job. And so I'm really excited about that. And then, like I said, back from once this is done, I meant where does this relationship stay? I meant it's not like you're not like, all right, there you go. I'll see you later, alligator.
I hope not.
No, not at all. No,
Hope not.
no, we love to support brands well beyond this. So we do constant monitoring on price and position. We look at, we also look at how can we change up things. Perhaps there's going to be new flavors, new trends.
Well, we did talk about expanding the brand.
Correct. And there's always different trends in food specifically. Just a couple years ago, florals were all the rage. A lot of floral drinks became very popular. Why do you think you're drinking hibiscus? It's a flower. People eat that now.
Right?
But I mean, that's true. Those are trends that come through. And so we'll continue to work with him to make sure that he's on the leading edge and that his brand is staying in the forefront against any other potential brand that will come out and try to copycat him.
Yeah, that is going to happen.
That's always a risk.
I will.
But
Right.
again, I think it's, being a partner with him, helping him, guide him through those next steps of distribution. Again, like you said, he has some inroads into fitness facilities, and then we've talked about going into the small mom and pop grocery stores and health food stores, and then when it's time to go after those big retailers, we're going to be right by his side to make sure that it's launched correctly, that they're not taking advantage of him, because there are horror stories out there where the retailer wins and the brand is gone.
I want to hear about this. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. There was an amazing almond butter brand that had went out, got Walmart, regional Walmart, Midwest, and their product went through a distributor that was partnering with Walmart, but it never made it to the store shelves. It just stayed in the warehouse.
Why?
And because there wasn't proper representation by their broker and distributor network, they were doing it on their own. They didn't have a guide.
Oh, wow.
And so in this, they had $60,000 worth of almond butter that was going bad in a warehouse, and they had to eat it. They had to eat it. Yeah, I mean, it's but we're not going to let that happen to Rick.
No,
that's not happening. So, I mean, that's the whole idea here is that, our relationship will continue on, and we'll continue to support him as he grows and flourishes and changes and continues to develop new and interesting things. But, again, food is still a science. Food science is a real thing. And while he's currently identified an amazing recipe, there could be new things on the horizon that we don't even know about yet.
Well, what's really popular right now is the least amount of ingredients.
Correct.
Like because
Clean.
And that's what's a big part of Nuttin's, because you see I see the posts all the time. This is the UK, and this is the, like when I'm talking about the list of ingredients, ours has like 35 different things on there that you can't pronounce.
Absolutely.
So
we want it clean and healthy.
Yeah. So yours is kind of like, what, 3 different things?
Yeah.
That's secret proprietary information. We can't release that. Shh.
I won't do that. But that's what it is. It's when you say clean products, that's what you're talking about. It doesn't have all these different things in it that's going to like your bread should not last a month and a half.
It's not natural.
No. That's kind of scary in a
It
whole
is.
lot of ways.
Yeah. it
So
is. Imagine what's growing on the inside. after
no,
you eat it.
I don't want to.
Let's not go there.
So you know what? We're gonna run to break one last time, and when we get back, I really want to I want to talk about how we're gonna wrap up this story, and we're going to give it some really positive energy. So everybody stay tuned. We have more BaaD Radio coming up. Welcome back, and I'd like to give special thanks to our sponsors, Forge IT Consulting, providing a fully outsourced IT department with a personal touch for small business, forgeitconsulting.com. Last but not least, want to thank Ashley with Get Me Automated. Her and her team are ready to make your life easier through automation. And we are here with Rick Hall, and he's bringing us a new product that we've been talking about. It's called nuttinsbetterforyou.com. It's actually called Nuttins, but nuttinsbetterforyou.com is like the tagline. Yes. As well as Angie Ruff with Flavor Craft Consulting. So luckily, I feel very blessed that BaaD Marketing gets to be part of this process. And now, it's like we've gone through so many different phases. And when I think about the product actually being done and like having one in my hand, it's... I know how it feels for me, Rick. I can only imagine what it feels like for you.
It'll be a really good feeling,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's been a journey. It's been a really big learning journey.
Yeah. Well, it's not.
I mean,
easy.
it's a whole different.
Yeah.
It's a whole different career.
Right.
Actually,
Mm-hmm.
and my heart is there. It's with this. This is where I want to go eventually.
Right. Well, as an
I want to help.
Yeah.
I want to help people. So.
Yeah. As an entrepreneur, one of the things that I find is a lot of it. I mean, there's some people that just have money and they have money and they're like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can do that, but there's a lot of people that are just like us. And it's like, you know what? Okay. Do I have enough money coming in? So let's just talk about like the elephant in the room. And that is the cost of doing all this stuff. And how difficult is it to make those decisions? And what are some of the processes as far as making this successful that you and Angie have talked about?
So the money doesn't come easy. So there is a sense of, checking things and double checking things and having to come at peace.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is made easier when you're around people that we're very much a team,
Mm-hmm.
And then plus you have the trust factor too. So, I know that, all the information I get from Angie
Mm-hmm.
is
Well,
true.
again,
it's true. It's not a sales.
Yeah.
She's not trying to sell. She's actually, it brings comfort
Right.
to me.
Well, it definitely doesn't suck because she got so many dang referrals, people sending you to her. So I think that's
and that
got to
was
be
huge.
good.
And that was absolutely huge. And that's even kind of why I am where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have many people were like, you got to reach out to her. You got to reach
Mm-hmm.
out to her. And that's kind of,
Right.
that's kind of how I met her.
Well,
and transparency is key there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
that's one of the big things. Everything we do, either myself or my team, we share it directly where he has access to it, can see it at any given time. Because to me, it's communication and information. If it's not communicated in the right way, then there is that challenge of what's going on, what's
Mm-hmm.
happening, and that's why I think the way that I conduct this, transparency is the most important ingredient, if you will.
Well, it's also what's very important is going to fight for them as
Right.
well, because you're dealing with all these people and you're like, listen, I know that a 5-ounce plastic bag should not cost that. So no, you know what I mean? But you
Right.
have to, you're over here negotiating all these prices.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't passionate about it, you could just be like, okay, Rick, this is what your options
Here,
are.
go.
Yeah. So you have
Absolutely
to
not.
fight.
Yes, 100%.
And that's a lot. Trust me, I know. I'm just figuring out all the fun parts about being a business owner.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
parts, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, is there opportunities to have have support investors? I mean, how does this work in this situation?
Well, I've been funding all of this, and we are at the point where we are looking for additional funding
Mm-hmm.
for this, because things do add up.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I mean, in order for us to do it right, I think we need a little bit more funding. But most especially at the startup. I mean, the startup's the hardest. I mean, once the product's out there and it keeps growing,
Right.
I would think it would get easier.
Well, Angie, in your experience, how important is having an investor?
Well, just being well funded is really important because you don't know what's going to happen next. You have to have that contingency. And while there's no wrong way to do it, being bootstrapped creates a different level of stress for the entrepreneur.
What's bootstrap?
Because meaning that you're funding it all yourself.
Okay.
So picking your the whole brand and everything up by your boots. Think of it like that. But when you do that, it's a different level of stress for the entrepreneur because they're always trying to wonder where's the next dollar coming from, things like that. So if in the situation here with Rick, he's caught lightning in a bottle. This is an amazing product. It's something that's definitely has teeth and merit. It's something people are looking for. And the branding, thank you, Angela, is amazing.
Thank you.
Anyone
awesome.
that is looking to invest or put their money somewhere, this is a fantastic opportunity to get on at the startup, at that initial stage, because once he gets to a certain level, who knows? He could turn into a Sante Foods and sell for $7 billion to PepsiCo. I mean, that's what they did.
Right.
So I think the investors are important. The relationships are important, but being able to come on early on, it's a little easier for both the investor and the brand owner because there's less stress as they're moving it forward.
And this is something that you can help him with as far as structuring what investment should look like.
So we do work with a lot of our clients on that end. Obviously, Rick also has his business coach, Pam.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yes.
So with Focal Point, and she's amazing at this as well. She's done it, but not necessarily with food brands. So together, I believe we'll be able to have the right team for him to see what's good deals, what's bad deals, and what's the right deal to bring it to the table.
Right.
And then to boot with this, like we talked about, a potential soft launch or a pre-order. If there are retailers that are going to be listening to this, that are local retailers, and they want, I want to be the premier store to have this product in my store before anyone else, then they need to reach out to Rick and say, put me on your list. I want the first box.
Please.
I mean, how cool would that be? And then we could just go around Orlando taking pictures with Rick going, look, we've got Rick's best well Nuttins right here. Those kind of things. So, so I think there's a few opportunities there that, again, your listeners and anyone that knows Rick and his integrity, that, I mean, this is something they need to get in on.
Well, it's also you're backing it.
Yes,
so you're like, you're sitting there saying this is going to work, right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
The other people, and this is not, you don't take on projects unless they're going to work. Because
Correct.
That just doesn't make sense for you to do
There
that.
have been people I have turned down because it's not a fit.
You're like, okay. Yep. So like business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are interested in looking to support something that is going to be successful, then reach out. Like, go
Absolutely.
ahead. Yeah.
Please do.
And Rick, go ahead and give me your phone number. I mean, I have all your contact information. And when we launch this on the radio and all the other stuff, I'm going to include that. But we do have the website, which is nuttinsbetterforyou.com. And that will be going live soon, and that will have the story. But Rick, how should people get in touch with you?
They can text me, 407-773-2064. That is my cell number. And
Okay.
And we can have a conversation.
Yeah, and honestly, you listeners, you can reach out to me as well.
Absolutely.
I've been on the station, like I said, this is our 4th year on the radio, but this is our 3rd year with WFLA. So I'm very active on there. So if there's anybody that's listening right now that is like interested in getting more information about everything that has gone into this product, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And so I loved having you both in here. And Angie, how do you get a big chunk of your business? Is it through networking?
Yes, primarily through networking. So I go to Economic Development Council meetings. I go to incubators, part of various networking groups across Central Florida and then across the United States with various organizations.
And go ahead and give out your contact
information.
information.
So certainly, flavorcraftconsulting.com. You can reach me at Angie at flavorcraftconsulting.com. That's it.
All right. And Rick, give yours out again, too.
407-773-2064. Call or text me. Thank you.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. And a thank you to our sponsors. And everybody have a great week and be sure to support local.